attention now, and viewers, a truly shocking incident has emerged. An Indian woman of Arunachal Pradesh origin has leveled some serious allegations against the Chinese airport officials at the Shanghai airport. She has in fact alleged that she was held for 18 hours by Chinese immigration officials after they refused to accept her Indian passport. She says that because her passport listed her birthplace as Arunachal Pradesh, officials claimed the state belonged to China, declaring her passport invalid and detained her for almost an entire day. In fact, she's joining us live on the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. You've spoken about your entire ordeal. You were told how you were detained for 18 hours. What exactly happened? How did it begin?
Firstly, I can't actually get the audio. It's not very clear.
Can you hear me?
I'm not sure why. If you can increase the volume, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Am I audible to you?
Okay, now you're audible. Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me on Times Now. So basically, I had a holiday planned from London to Japan. On the 20th of November is when I took my flight from London Gatwick with a transit of 3 hours in Shanghai. And typically, because I'm an avid traveler, I do travel quite a lot, and I actually work in the financial services industry in the UK. So I work in regulation, so I know how important laws and regulations are, and obviously I made sure that I knew that I was traveling within the realms and the rules of Chinese immigration. And specifically because I had taken this exact same route last year on the 16th of October. I had called the Chinese embassy in London before my journey previously, and they said as long as you are transiting, it's okay for you to transit on an Indian passport. There shouldn't be an issue. And I did successfully transit in Shanghai last year. So this year, basically, as soon as I passed the E-gates and got queued up for the security check, one of the immigration officers came out to me, singled me out of the queue, took me to the immigration counter desk and started saying to me things like pointing at my passport and Arunachal, saying this is not a valid passport. Arunachal is part of China and the Indian document is invalid. So, which was quite shocking for me because obviously I've always been an Indian national. Arunachal has always been undoubtedly an Indian territory. So that was quite confusing and humiliating at the same time. But then there was another immigration officer who then basically took me from that part of the airport to another area, which is closer to the China Eastern flights transfer desk, right next to an immigration desk as well. On the way between the transit as well, she was kind of screaming and very unprofessional behavior. I had to tell her, I'll have to take out my phone to start filming you if you don't stay within the professional behavior. She even made remarks like, apply for a Chinese passport. You're not part of India. You're from Arunachal. Arunachal is part of China. Now, obviously, that's a very derogatory and harassing comment, because they know for a 3-hour flight, which basically is for my transit within the next 3 hours, they are not going to issue me a Chinese passport. They didn't give me any form to do so, and obviously that was just a remark made to just in the heat of the moment, I guess.
You were singled out only because Arunachal Pradesh is mentioned in your passport, and these are all the immigration officials at the airport who were saying this to you.
Exactly. Okay. Obviously I'm not even resident, so I have been a resident in UK for 14 years, so it just doesn't make sense. And had it been that my birthplace did not show up as Arunachal, maybe because I have been, obviously I studied in Sri Ram College of Commerce, and I've been in Delhi for a very long time before I moved to UK. If the place of issue or birthplace was showing Delhi, they probably would have let me go. But because specifically they saw Arunachal, they said transit is not an issue. Your document is completely invalid. Arunachal is not part of India. It's part of China.
Okay. Such statements from immigration officials who are deployed there is absolutely unacceptable. And what followed next? What did you say? Were you given any written explanation about it? What followed then?
Nothing at all. Exactly, nothing at all. I said, what law is there? Show me some proper documentation which says that residents of India born in Arunachal Pradesh are considered not Indians, because we are undoubtedly Indians. I mean, we don't have any voting rights or access to public funds or land or property rights in China. We've always been Indian and will continue to be so. Obviously, I went on asking them, what is the reason? Give me some real reason. Why are you holding me here? They just wouldn't say. They would just keep telling me, go speak to the airline. The airline would say, go speak to the immigration. And both of them would just not give an answer except, and in fact, in one point of time, there were like 4 officials at the counter desk of China Eastern and 2 immigration officers behind me. And I was getting agitated and obviously keeping my calm, but still being persistent that why are you holding me? And they just all sort of spoke to each other while I was asking them what is the reason, and they just say Arunachal, and started laughing and mocking and speaking in the language and saying, not India, no India, Arunachal, okay, China. So that went on for quite a while. The Shanghai airport, in fact, doesn't have a very good Wi-Fi connection, so I was completely cut out from the rest of the world for quite a few hours. Couldn't even get access to Google to find Indian Embassy's number in Shanghai. Okay. It was only after being very persistent and saying to them, I need a lawyer, or I need to speak to somebody, my family needs to know, they need to be informed, because I'm stuck here for over 10 hours and I have no connection to the entire world. And then they basically gave me the landline, from which I called a friend in UK, and they basically gave me the number for Indian Embassy in Shanghai. And very thankful to the Indian Embassy that they acted quite promptly. But ultimately the end result was the same, because the China Eastern airline would simply say, go back to your country or go back to UK. Now, after a 12-hour flight without sleep, and then obviously another 18 hours being detained. But apparently at the end of it all, even the officials who came, they kind of said, we did not detain you. But I mean, what else were you doing? You held my passport. You wouldn't let me move from there. You kept me without food. I mean, I could not get access to the terminals to buy food as well. I just had to stick to that particular corner. No proper place to rest. It was just chairs there. Very, very... I don't quite understand how to say how the experience was, but ultimately it was just very insulting as an Indian citizen to be told that your land is not Indian, but actually a part of China.
Absolutely. You know, what you're saying sounds extremely harrowing. And for this to happen in the airport, you had a layover of just a few hours, you're saying, and
3 hours.
You were stopped by the immigration officials. And these immigration officials making these statements, no truth to it whatsoever, and then also detaining you for so many hours. Do tell us what happened after that. How did you get in touch with the embassy? You've also written a letter to the center now urging the government to take action.
Exactly. I mean, to be honest, the end result was the same, because I was hoping if I speak to Indian Embassy and if they came in touch with the immigration, they would be able to justify that my passport is in fact valid, and then Indian territory, which is Arunachal, should be holding an Indian passport. But they were very persistent, and in fact, even the IFS officer very kindly who came over with the Indian embassy team, they said, the best way is to just follow what they're saying, because we want to help you get out of here. So before they even came, they just said to me the same thing, that you have to leave the country either for UK or for India. And that's what I did in the end. I mean, at my own expense. I'm not charging or saying anything to the Indian government about these expenses, because I took it up on my own. And it's just quite unfair that even when higher up officials came to the scene, they would not allow or recognize my Indian passport on grounds that Arunachal is not part of India, which is quite alarming. I'm not doing this to basically say that I have been inconvenienced. I travel a lot, so I do understand you have good and bad experiences when you travel. I could have just put this down as a bad experience and moved on, but it
it's
was
so much more than
alarming
that.
because exactly, because I mean, to claim my country, to, part of my country, to be another country's part, and to detain someone and to harass citizens of that country, because it's a very diplomatic, geopolitical issue, which I don't have any say at. This is for my government to have a diplomatic speech with them, and this is not my area or my realm to speak on. So I just want to bring awareness so that no other Indian has to face this issue, and no other Arunachal resident is made to face such issues in the future. And obviously for the government to know that, you know, while China is shaking hands with us in the front face, they are doing such things behind the back and actually harassing India's citizens.
Yes, absolutely unacceptable. And in fact, after the incident, India has also issued a strong démarche to China over the incident. Your appeal being very important to ensure that no other Indian has to face this. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, it was an ordeal, yes, but we hope that lessons have been learned and action is taken.